Subtracting rational expressions is similar to adding rational expressions. We need a common denominator, and then I can subtract the two numerators, and the new denominator is just that common denominator. So for this example, 5 and 3, they don't have any factors in common. So to create a common denominator, I can simply multiply those two things together. So if I multiply 3 with 5 and 5 with 3, of course I need to multiply the top by that same number, right? So essentially I'm multiplying the fraction by 1 overall. I'm multiplying the fraction by 1 because 3 over 3 is equal to 1. I end up with 6 over 5 minus 5x over 5. Sorry, 6 over 15, sorry about that, over 5x over 15. And now I can simply subtract those numerators. So I get 6 minus 5x over 15. And because there's a variable up top, the x and the 6, it does not have that variable. I can't do anything more. That's my final answer. For this next example, you might notice we already have a common denominator, so I don't need to do anything else. You might want to, I recommend you maybe pause the video for a moment and think about what to do with those numerators to complete the subtraction process. I'll talk about the answer in just a moment, but I'd like to give you the opportunity to just think about that on your own first. So here's an important thing to think about, which I hope you thought about. This, when we subtract two rational expressions, when I subtract those numerators, I need to subtract the entire polynomial. So to do that properly, I really need to put parentheses around that second numerator, if it's preferable. We could also put parentheses around the first numerator, but parentheses around the second is really important because I want to subtract both of those terms. And so without the parentheses, and a mistake that you may have made, hopefully not, but a mistake that students sometimes make is to forget to distribute then. I want to subtract both of those, so this is going to change the sign of both of those terms. And so I end up with 3m minus 6n, and then minus 3m minus 6n. So now putting those together, the 3m's cancel because I have a positive 3m and a negative 3m, but the 6n's are both negative. So that becomes negative 12n divided by 6, and since 6 is a common factor of both negative 12 and itself, this would simplify to just be negative 2n. Third example, it's another subtraction problem. I have two terms up in the top of both of those rational expressions, so I'm going to need to be careful to distribute the negative sign to both of those terms. But in this case I also need to do a little bit more because the denominators, they don't quite match. So obviously I have a 3 as a factor in that first denominator, so I'm going to need to multiply the second one by 3. And I need to multiply both of those terms by 3. And also there's a p squared here, and there's only a p in the second denominator, so I need to multiply the top and the bottom by p. And the first denominator, it only has one x, and over here I have an x squared. So I need to multiply both the top and the bottom by x for that first rational expression. So multiplying that across, I end up with x times 4x is 4x squared plus 6x times p, or p times x, over 3x squared p squared. And then the other one, it's going to be 15, 3 times 5, xp, minus 18 p squared. So we can put those together. of course I need to be careful. I want to make sure I subtract that entire second numerator. So the parentheses indicate that I want to subtract both of those parts, both of those terms. The common denominator becomes the denominator of the two expressions. And the only other thing I need to be kind of careful about, I want to distribute this to both terms. So it's going to give me a negative 15xp, but then this will become a plus p squared. So let me try to skip around that 2 there. So I end up with 4x squared plus 6xp minus 15xp plus 18p squared. All of that over 3x squared p squared. The one last thing that I can do, those two middle terms, they have the same variables raised to the same power, and so I can combine them. So that'll become positive 6 and minus 15 will give me a negative 9 xp. Of course, we still have a 4x squared and a plus 18p squared. So if you think about the factors in the denominator, I have x's and p's down there, but there's not an x that's a common factor of all those terms, and p is not a common factor of all those terms, and they don't have any common number factors. So there's nothing I can simplify in this one, and that's it. That's our final answer. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.